Hi, I'm Celine and I'm from Section 6.
Hi, I'm Hassan and I'm also from Section 6.
After reading 1984 and analyzing the cartoons by Mona Nestani, we found a particular issue common in both, which is diminishing female identity as a result of restrictive societal expectations.
That's right. George Orwell's 1984 is a dystopian novel set in the 20th century where a totalitarian government controls all aspects of its citizens' lives, including their thoughts and bodies. And this especially applies to women and their individual identities.
And in the cartoons, Mona Nestani uses three different cartoons to highlight how women lose their identities as a result of societal expectations. So, Hassan, how did you find the issue presented in 1984?
Well, specifically in chapter 6 of the novel, Orwell effectively demonstrates diminishing female identity due to the restrictive societal norms through Catherine's outlook on sexual activity as a result of the party's psychological conditioning. Catherine, who is the novel's main character, Winston's wife, did not view sexual intercourse as an intimate or pleasurable activity, and she simply viewed it as her duty to the party. And this made it so that to embrace her was like embracing a jointed wooden image. The diction in in duty of the party, when referring to sexual intercourse, connotes military, which demonstrates how the party has stripped women of any desire they receive from intercourse. And in addition, comparing Catherine to a wooden image dehumanizes her and highlights how she's been stripped of all individuality and sexual desire. And as a result of societal expectations, Catherine loses sight of the significance of intercourse as well as motherhood beyond her duty to the party. And consequently, Catherine acts as an embodiment of this issue, as she loses her female individual identity due to the patriarchy present in the party. And this leads her to believe that as a woman, her worth does not extend beyond child rearing. Furthermore, as Winston begins to express his own frustrations with women, he mentions that chastity was as deep ingrained in them as party loyalty. Winston believed that this deep integration of party loyalty was achieved by careful early conditioning by the rubbish that was dinned into them at schools and in the spies and the youth league by lectures. The natural feeling had been driven out of them. Through parallel structure within this text, the author demonstrates how the party enforces societal expectations placed upon women in order to ensure that they do not develop individual identities outside the party and its ideals. This is further affirmed by semantic field of bureaucracy created through the text, which demonstrates that sex is a matter of the party rather than one of the individual. The novel's setting, where young women are indoctrinated to see themselves as no more than products of the party, replacing their natural sexual desire with a deeply rooted need to serve the party. This issue is further developed by demonstrating how the restrictive societal expectations are enforced upon the women from a very young age to maintain the patriarchy that limits them. Therefore, the party demonstrates how women are losing their individual identities due to the transformation of sex from an intimate and desired act to a dreaded act only served to carry out the regime. Furthermore, restrictive societal expectations that actively deconstruct female individual identity are further explored throughout the text through the regulations set on women and the expectations placed upon them by the party. During Winston and Julia's love affair in part two of the novel, Julia surprises Winston by buying makeup, which is forbidden from party women from the pro sector and wearing it for him. Winston described that with just a few dabs of color in the right places, she had become not only very much prettier, but above all, far more feminine. Her short hair and boyish overalls merely added to the effect. The visual imagery in the text creates a juxtaposition between Julia's form of individual self-expression through makeup and her short hair and boyish overalls that are a symbol of her repressed femininity. This signifies that the setting in which Julia lives diminishing femininity to perhaps stripped women of all agency. This reinforces the issue. And in this case, what's placed on women's appearances diminishes their female individuality. And femininity is a central part of what makes a woman's identity. And it remains a prominent form of self expression. And by stripping women of it, it also strips them of their freedom. And in modern society, the media promotes sexualization of women, valuing them as desirable and stripping them of value when they're not. On the other hand, the party strips women of all value by stripping them of their femininity, giving them no more value than their compliance to the party. And throughout his interactions with O'Brien during his torture in part 3, O'Brien also tells Winston that one day there will be a future where children will be taken from their mothers at birth as one takes eggs from a hen. Procreation will be an annual formality like the renewal of a ration card, and the orgasm will be abolished. The similes employed highlight how the party means to deny women of even motherhood, which is another very important part of female identity. And the dystopian setting of the novel, where women simply act as vessels of reproduction for the party's goals, continues to strip them of their identity, which includes sexuality and motherhood. Thus, this further develops the issue throughout the novel where expectations placed upon women deny them of many of their most innate needs and desires as women. In sum, throughout 1984, women are portrayed as having no agency over their bodies and identities as a result of the party's restrictive expectations.
That was some really good analysis, Hassan. I really liked how you analyzed the similes and how you really related them back to the theme. Thank you for that. Now I am going to be analyzing the Monanestani cartoons. So first, I'm gonna analyze one specific cartoon, which is a cartoon depicting a young girl's indoctrination. Nastani demonstrates how young women are stripped of their individual identities in order to satisfy societal expectations through a visual metaphor. In his cartoon, Nastani portrays a series of panels where the young girl is undergoing a gradual transformation into becoming a nail. Throughout the first 4 panels, the girl's parents are dissatisfied with her current state, as she has not become the nail that they aspire for her to become just yet. The visual metaphor demonstrates the societal expectations that are currently being perpetuated by her parents that force her to seek her worth in marriage and submission. Furthermore, this metaphor directly objectifies and dehumanizes the young girl and demonstrates how she is slowly losing her identity through her transformation into a nail. Here, through his critical tone, Nastani is critiquing the societal expectations placed upon women and those who perpetuate them. He is also demonstrating and criticizing how women begin to lose their individual identities and their value beyond their marriage. Thus, the loss of female identity as a result of indoctrination and conditioning is explored in this piece. And Nastani concludes this visual metaphor with the largest image is the largest one in the comic strip. The final image depicts the woman who is now a nail wearing a dress, marrying her husband who is a hammer. Furthermore, this is the only image where the girl's parents appear to be satisfied. Through this visual metaphor, the female is a nail and the man is a hammer, and it demonstrates how women are indoctrinated into submission, potentially leaving themselves vulnerable to abuse. This conveys to the reader the setting of the image, where women are conditioned from a young age to work only towards reaching their final form of submission, losing their individual identities. Here, Nastani offers a critique on the dynamic present in marriages, where the male assumes all the authority in the relationship, and women are simply left to mindlessly submit. Therefore, the loss of identity beyond marriage is highlighted throughout this comic strip. In this cartoon, Nastani highlights the issue of diminishing female identity as a result of limiting societal expectations through a very effective metaphor. Within Nastani's larger body of work, he employs visual metaphors and color juxtaposition in order to highlight how female identity is deteriorating as a result of societal expectations. In one of Nastani's cartoons, he presents a dark-colored veiled woman surrounded by negative space, applying red lipstick over her veil. The visual metaphor presents a contrast between the religious expectations placed upon the woman and her desire to embrace her femininity and appear in a certain manner. The negative space which surrounds the woman with the darkness of her figure creates a stark juxtaposition between the red lipstick she is applying and her figure. This suggests that there is a certain emptiness in her life that is perhaps being filled with her form of female expression. She could be a victim of society where the patriarchal structures that are present in her culture strip her of agency over her femininity and appearance. The artist sets a hopeless mood where the woman is unable to adhere to societal expectations and maintain her femininity. It presents Nastani's critical tone where he believes that the restrictive societal expectations placed upon women leave them unable to express their own identity. And that is the issue highlighted throughout the text. Neistani presents also in his second cartoon a pregnant woman who is rather washed out, carrying a colored baby in her belly. The juxtaposition of colors suggests that the baby is the only thing that is worth anything in the woman, and she's not worth anything as an individual. And this suggests society's point of view on her is exactly just that she has no worth. The tilt of the woman's head portrays her oppression, where due to the conservative values in society, she's unable to express her dissatisfaction and she just needs to submit. And this highlights Neistani's critical tone, where women are simply reduced to their ability to bear children and nothing else. And this highlights the result of the issue of loss of female identity beyond childbearing in this piece.
That
Within
was
his
really good. I
Thank
loved
you.
your analysis of the visual metaphor as well as the image parameters, and how you talked about the author's tone was also really good.
Thank you so much. Thanks, mate. So based on what we have found, were the texts similar in their presentation of the issue?
I've noticed that both texts seem to discuss how the patriarchy sort of reduces women's identity to child rearing, and I've also noticed how both authors seem to have quite a critical tone surrounding this issue.
Yeah, that's right, because in 1984, Catherine is just thinking about her ability to bear children, and it also talks about how they make sex only them being able to have kids. And in the cartoons, it just shows a pregnant woman who's dull and her child is the only thing that has color. So that suggests that it's the only thing that's valuable.
Do you see any differences between them?
I do see differences because Orwell presents the issue in a very dystopian setting, but Neistani portrays it in a kind of realistic manner.
I also kind of noticed that due to the difference in medium, 1984 is able to provide its presentation of the issue much more directly and build the society around it, whereas the Neistani cartoons are sort of built on an idea of you having an idea of the issue and the society and being able to apply it to Neistani's image.
Also, I think there is both a very dreary and hopeless tone in both of them. And because in the Neistani cartoons, it's because the women face many issues, and in 1984, it's because the women face issues, but they don't recognize the fact that they're facing an issue. It's because they think this is the way things should be. So I think it's just a very hopeless and dreary topic. The tone.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And to conclude, thank you so much for listening to our podcast, and I hope you tune in next time.
Bye.